it is time for another candidate spotlight. Of course, I'm Russell Payne, and this is the Vindicator. And today we're going to talk to Terry Thain, Congressional District 9 candidate, Republican. We'll get to him in just a second, real quick. Election information that you might need. February 2nd is the deadline to register to vote if you have not done so and wish to vote in this upcoming election. Early voting is going to run February the 17th through the 27th. Election day is Tuesday, March the 3rd. Candidate forums the Vindicator will be hosting. We have the first one on Wednesday, February the 11th at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center. That will feature Congressional District 9. Hopefully you'll be there with us. And Senate District 3. And the next night, Thursday the 12th of February, we will have Liberty County Commissioners Precinct 2 and 4 and the 75th and 253rd District Judge races, also at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center. Also on the 12th, our election guide comes out. Hopefully you'll be able to get a copy of that either online or in print so you can make an informed decision on Election Day. With that said, Mr. Thain, I'd like to hand the floor over to you if you want to introduce yourself to the folks out there.
Oh, I'm Terry Thain. I'm a native of this district, graduated Tarkington High School, combat vet, live local, have for most of my life, if not all, except for down the street. Crosby was the only time I didn't live actually in Liberty County. And I have all that on my website and stuff, and I'm glad to be here.
Cool, glad to have you. Tell me, why get into this race? This race for this crazily redrawn District 9 that...
Sometimes I ask myself that. But when they redistricted this, when I found out what the district was going to be, I'd mentioned to some friends of mine. I was like, hey, maybe I ought to run for Congress. My daughter always tried to get me to do it, And they turned around and looked at me and said, well, you know all about this stuff. You know a lot more about it than any of us. Yeah, you ought to run. So I kind of went. I went through the steps, and it just got more and more real as it went. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've studied government and the way it works, and even down to the particulars of how you go from an idea of a bill all the way through the process. Mm-hmm. I've studied that all my life just out of curiosity. Right. And I keep up, I'm an information junkie as far as that goes. And I just, the more people I talk to, the more people encouraged it. So here we are.
What issues do you see being the most important right now?
Number one, as far as the federal level, and that affects everything all the way down to the precinct level. Mm-hmm. As far as for the federal government is debt. Mm-hmm. Our debt at $37 trillion, just going higher, it limits everything we can do. Mm-hmm. If we have a bad hurricane, it limits the disaster response. It limits education funding. Everything. Mm-hmm. So something has to be done about the debt. I'm not going to cure it overnight. Mm-hmm. I have a plan for replenishing the Social Security Trust Fund. Mm-hmm. The first new revenue we've had since in forever, as far as new revenue, is tariff revenue.
Right.
And I hear estimates $300 to $400 billion a year in revenue. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to allocate that, which goes back to actually passing the budget. Mm-hmm. Allocate those funds directly to the Social Security Trust Fund, to replenish that, because it goes back to LBJ when they pushed through, we're going to be able to borrow from the Social Security Fund. Mm-hmm. Well, they've never paid anything back. Well, that will help stabilize that fund until we get past this generation. Mm-hmm. The boomer generation, which is bigger, and then the generations get smaller, so it kind of helps. And it will relieve that money, that part of the money, out of the regular fund, budget fund, to be able to pay down on debt. So it's a twofold strategy.
So I take it you're all in on tariffs then?
Well, we have to. We've gave, over the last 40, 50 years or whatever, through globalization and all that, and I think corruption, we've given away everything. Mm-hmm. You look around your house and see what's made in America and what's made not in America, mm-hmm. It'll shock you, if you really look. So the tariffs is a way of balancing the plate. China has all kinds of government subsidies and everything for their industry so they can produce it cheaper. Well, we're the largest consumer in the world. You have to pay a membership to go to Costco.
That's right.
So you might want to pay a membership to come to the largest market in the world.
What uniquely is going to qualify you from your professional experiences?
Professionally, I've done a lot of different things in my life. I've been in a lot of industries. I've been everywhere from laborer to, production manager, executive, things like that, everything in between. I'm a regular guy, regular blue collar guy. Okay, I've been in charge of a lot of people, and I've been not in charge of anything. So yeah, I've had my own businesses. I'm, leased to a trucking company now that it makes me an owner operator. So I'm a one-man business. So, and taking that perspective, which is what was the original intent, take that perspective and perspective of our community, and that's what you're supposed to represent. I look at it like this: when you represent in Congress, you represent your district first, your state second, and the nation third. Because the nation didn't elect you to represent as a representative of this district, the district did.
Right.
So that's who you work for.
Absolutely. I would hope that most folks would believe that that's who you represent. Not to make a political statement, but not to make a political statement on my end. Personally, what's gonna set you apart? Something from your personal life? What do you think? Is there anything that
Personally,
anything personally that just that just you think will be different because of your experiences?
Personally, as far as running for Congress has not really been any different in my normal life, except not getting any of the honeydews done around the house, because when I come in, I'm straight to doing something. But I'll be forgiven for that. But
That's good.
I think it comes down to personal experience. I've had some good times in my life. I've had some hard times in my life, just like everybody else. And I think that perspective needs to be taken into Congress, because they can have I look at it like this: I have a better connection with our district, because once you've been up here 30 years or something like that, you don't have that connection anymore.
Right.
They just don't. I'm a big purveyor term limits. We can discuss the lengths and everything like that, but there needs to be a term limit, and that they're still connected to their hometown district.
Immigration.
Yep.
Immigration's a hot topic. No matter what side of it you stand on, I think people definitely have an opinion about it right now. Where do you see your role in that conversation?
Well, I'm like this. We can't have unfeathered immigration. It shocks, depresses wages, does a lot of things. Now, I served with people in the military that actually went in the military to get their citizenship, and they still had to go through all the classes and all that, and had to wait years for it. Okay, I'm a big fan of stay in Mexico type plan, because with the speed of our technology now, does it really take 10 years to approve an application to become a citizen?
Right.
It really doesn't. You can vet somebody, and you can do a background check in 15 minutes, and you go deeper. And then once they get that's cleared, I'm talking about legal immigration. They can come in here legally, and while you're here, you're on probation. You commit crimes in here and everything. Goodbye. It's pretty well that simple. There's always going to be immigration, because if I'll tell you, if I lived in Guatemala and some of the situations that those people are, I'd be trying to immigrate somewhere too. But it has to be done in a controlled way. Every other country does it. You cross into North Korea on accident, they'll shoot you.
That is true. That's very true. How about affordability in the economy right now?
Well, the economy and affordability is, I've never seen anything go down. So we had this big run up in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it was, COVID, all that stuff, push prices up. But we have to find a way to balance that with wage growth and everything else. Part of this is, it goes back to the debt because it restricts economic expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Just here in Liberty County, we have a lot of open land that I do not want to get rid of. I love my cow pastures, I love everything else, but there is room in Liberty County to expand the economic base.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the federal debt, we're not going to tax our way out of it. We have to expand our tax base.
Correct.
And the economy to be able to roll those numbers back. And so yeah, it's affordability comes with wage growth. Wage growth needs to happen. I've seen too many industries where they're stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything else goes up and it's stagnant. And believe me, I went through all the KPIs, efficiencies, everything. Like I said, I've been in the executive and I've been in the laborer, so I've been in between. But there is a balance there. You have to have wage growth, and that comes through more opportunity. More opportunity you have, the more competition for workers you have, which drives the wages up.
That is right. That is true. Let's see. Colony Ridge.
Oh yeah.
We can't have a conversation without talking about Colony Ridge, right?
I know that would come up. You know? I used to hunt that area.
Well, a lot of folks did, right? Yeah, a lot of folks did, and so that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's why this conversation is very interesting, because there's this is like the immigration, right? There's all kinds of sides to this conversation. That was hunting land, not even 10, 20 years ago in some instances, right? So it's created an overdue burden on this county.
Absolutely.
On the people that were in that area, on the infrastructure. And then you bring into it some of the issues that exist that are related to immigration or just growth. Cleveland is the fastest growing school district in the entire state of Texas.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I'll say, like you said, overloaded everything. Mm-hmm. The roads are still not there.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is not there. I think the first 3 years of existence, I think I read something that Cleveland ISD added 9,000 students the first 3 years it was open. Mm-hmm. And everything's, and it's still growing. Look, I've been through there. Mm-hmm. There is easy another 60,000 lots out there that haven't even been sold.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty. I don't think it's ever going to go back the way it was because that genie is out of the bottle. That genie is out of the bottle.
And I do, and that's something I don't know. I think a lot of folks hear about it. Oh, they hear the horrors, they hear this, they hear that. Some folks know what's there, some don't. There's some good people in Colony Ridge, right? I mean, absolutely, 100%. Folks you'd gladly welcome to the community. Mm-hmm. But one thing I think that, like you said, another 60,000 lots, like you said, right?
Easy.
I think people think this was a developed neighborhood. Yeah. And in their idea, well, neighborhoods, we have neighborhoods. This is not a neighborhood. And what role do you think you would play in Washington to see what we can do going forward?
For one, we have to go back to the beginning of it as far as investigating. Mm-hmm. How did this ever come about in the first place so we could stop it from happening somewhere else? Mm-hmm. That whole area is in a floodplain. Mm-hmm. Okay, how do you get permits to build a subdivision or development or whatever in a floodplain? They say, oh, it's not a floodplain. Well, my best friend and his wife lived in a red house down there in the 94 flood. Mm-hmm. Okay, we went down to their house in a boat. I was sitting in 24 feet of water. Yeah, that's a floodplain. It's right on the East Fork, so it's a floodplain. So we had to figure out what corruption went on to actually let this place develop like it has. Mm-hmm. Secondly, yes, not all those people are illegal. They're not. I mean, this is Texas. We've had Tejanos since we came into existence.
That's it.
Illegal, that falls under ICE and enforcement, things like that. The biggest problem for, say, Liberty County is like the Sheriff's Department, things like that, mm-hmm. of having to take care of that area. We don't have that many resources. So we're going to have to do something at the federal government level to come down to the state, come down and help Liberty County out with this, just to reel in the cartel and reel in everything. I mean, you see the stories, 410 pounds of meth seized. Mm-hmm. The murders that's happened, the random shootings. There's not a big enough police presence down there to actually allow what the majority of those people down there were just looking for a place to go, a place to move to. It's not much different than it was back in the 70s and everything, when places like Dayton Lake Estates, Save Houston Lake Estates, Horseshoe Lake Estates, and all those others came in. It's not very much different. It's the same playbook. They just did it on a much grander scale and marketed to a different type of person.
What other issues do you think are going to be important?
Like I said, national security is one. Okay, it's a big chess game with China. Mm-hmm. I happen to know a 2-star general that I served with in the Army, and he recently retired as a 2-star general. He spent most of his time in Korea, coming up through the ranks. And I know a ton about national security as far as capabilities of China and things. But this goes back to the tariffs. We need to bring that semiconductor, which Taiwan makes 90% of the most advanced chips in the world. We bring that manufacturing back to the United States. We cool that area down because China no longer has the incentive to take over Taiwan, which could be a big flashpoint in the next conflict. So those are things, the way I think deep about this stuff.
Well, so Venezuela and Iran, right now you've got some issues there. And
Yeah, Venezuela it does a lot of different things as far as strategically. Yes, it cut off fentanyl production and the cartel working out of Venezuela. It gets rid of another socialistic communist country that, as you see how it went from, in a matter of 15 years, it went from a great place to people starving in the streets. Mm-hmm. People are happy about that. It also cuts off access to Venezuelan oil from China and people we see as economic adversaries. Mm-hmm. And so it's a strategic move, but it's something that needed to happen. I was part of Operation Just Cause, where we were Route Noriega. Mm-hmm. It's a similar type situation, with the drug cartels and everything else.
Absolutely. Well, how can folks learn more about your campaign?
Well, I have a website, www.voteterrythain.com, and I've actually, you look on Facebook, I've got TikTok going, I've got all that stuff going, and I have my number publicly out there. So if anybody wants to, they can just call me.
You want to give folks that number?
Yeah, it's 832-579-7021. Anybody wants to talk to me about issues, just call me.
Sounds good. Well, real quick, early voting again is going to be February the 17th to the 27th. Election day will be Tuesday, March the 3rd. We'll hear more from congressional candidates together at a February the 11th at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center, CD9 and SD3 for Candidates Forum the following night. Precinct 2 and 4 Liberty County Commissioners, as well as the 75th and 253rd District Judges. And it's both at the Dayton Community Center. The deadline to register to vote is February the 2nd. We'll make a final pitch to the folks.
I hope everybody, people that are not from Liberty County, I talk about Liberty County a lot because I'm from here. People from Liberty County, they travel to Deer Park, Pasadena, LaPorte. I worked out of LaPorte, Channelview for years, okay? I can represent those areas because I know them from working there. Mm-hmm. And then we live here. We are different, but I understand the needs of both areas. Somebody that just lives down there has no clue what Liberty County's about. So that's my big pitch, to vote for me, please.
All right. Well, we'll have more candidate spotlights. You can find them at thevindicator.com on the candidate spotlights tab. And they're on YouTube, and this will be on our Facebook pages as well as others. So hopefully you'll be able to make an informed decision. Mr. Thain, I wish you well on the campaign trail. We look forward to seeing you at our candidates forum.
Yep. Look forward to being there.
All right.